Alright guys, so today we're going to create a table with something called a Colspan and a Rowspan. Now these two are basically like merging cells. So a Colspan is merging horizontal cells in a row, and a Rowspan is merging vertical cells. Now best way to do something like this is to have some sort of a strategy. My strategy is always to first start counting how many rows we have. So in this case we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, okay? And then we need to know how many cells we have in this table. So in the first row we have a total of 1, 2, 3 cells, okay? And in the vertical merged cells we have another 3 cells. So this means that we will have a col span that is 3 cells wide, and we will also have a row span that is 3 cells wide. So let's create this HTML table with col span and row span. So let's start typing. So first things first, I'm going to make my typical HTML document. With all my tags. Like so. I'm going to indent them a bit to look a bit nicer. Okay. And now I'm going to create my table. Like so. I need to remember that all tables have a table head. They also have a T-body. And they also have a T-foot. Oops. Now, the table that we're going to be creating today doesn't have any attributes from the table heading. So we're going to just write everything in the table body. Now, just for the sake of things, let's save this as YouTube table. I'm going to save it as an HTML file if I can find it. There we go. Okay. And now I need to first of all remind myself how many rows we have. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So first things first, let's create 4 rows. Table row, this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. So we have exactly as many table rows as we need right now. So the first order of business is to create this col span. Since I know that there should be, if there wasn't this col span here, there should be 3 table data cells. But since we don't need 3 table data cells, we need just one big one. We will only add 1 table data here, like so. And we will give it the title col span and a couple of exclamation marks. And now to actually make the col span in the table data cell here, we need to tell it col span, whoops, not with capitals, equals, and within the quotes we need to say how many cells we want it to be wide. So in this case it's 3, close quotes. Let's continue to the rest. Now in these table data cells we're just going to populate them with A, be, and here row span in it with a couple of exclamation marks, like so. Now to create a row span like before, we will write row span equals 3 again in this case, and this should create this part right now. So now we need to create the other table data cells in the other rows, and in the other rows we will only create 2 table data cells, since the third one has already been created while we were doing the row span. So let's take a look. So here we'll create TD, like so, another one like so, and finally in the last one like so. Right, now this should create a table like that, but we haven't defined any table borders or the caption, but I don't care about the caption today. So I'm going to create single line borders. So I'm going to go for a border collapse. So to do that, in our table, we first need to define a border equals, let's say, 1 pixel. And then we're going to create the style tag, tell it border collapse, until it collapse, and then we're going to tell it border solid 2 pixels, and then we're going to close our quotes. Now for me to have the border lines in each individual cell, we need to put the border solid style equals border solid in every single table data cell. So I'm going to start typing it in every single table data cell. So I'm going to write here style equals border solid 2 pixels, and I'm just going to copy this in all my table data cells to make sure that all my cells have the same style. Now theoretically speaking, if I save this and I open it, I think I called it YouTube table. Something's not working correctly. So I don't see any of my interior lines, so I must have missed something. Whoops. Let's take a look what's going on. I also haven't made my table wide enough. Let's see how that looks now that it's going to be a bit bigger. Okay. So from what I can see here, I've made a small typographical mistake. I haven't written border. I've written something silly. Let's fix that and see if that fixes our border problem. Like so. Let's save it and let's refresh the table. There we go. So now we've got most of the work done, but now we need to change the height of the rows, at least of the very first one, and we need to make the smaller cells wider. Okay, so first things first, let's make the very first table row taller. So let's give it a try in the table row. Style equals height. Let's say 140 pixels. Let's give it a try and see if that changes anything. There we go. Now, for these cells, I'm going to make them about 30% wide each. So they'll be slightly, or actually 25% wide. So they'll be 50-50 with the row span on the side. So to do that, in every table data cell that contains a letter, so in A, B, C, D, and E, and F, I'm going to add to the style element a width of 25%. I'm going to copy this like so. And this should make our table look a bit more similar to the other one. Let's save and refresh. There we go. But these cells need to be a bit taller as well. So we need to add a height. Or we could just change the table row height so let's say 85 pixels. Let's change that to all the table rows like so. Let's save it and see if it becomes any nicer. There we go. And now I want to also center align my table in the browser window. So all I need to do is add to my table tag at the top, align, equals center. And this should do it. Let's take a look. Perfect. Now, from this table, you should by now understand how to use a call span and a row span, how to resize the cells, and how to change both dimensions of cells. In the next video, we'll take a look at how to add pictures inside the cells. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.